And so I'm Dr. Nana Esigezi. I'm a physician and a child development expert. I'm also a fellow with the National Institute of Families, Children, and Toddlers in the USA, also known as the 0 to 3 Academy. And I'll be speaking with you today on how to deal with the child's anxieties during this period of COVID-19. Now, we hope that at the end of this presentation, you appreciate the importance of dealing with anxieties in children at this time, that you'll be able to understand and identify the anxieties that our children are having right now. And then we also want to share with you information on how you can help the anxious child. And finally, there'll be tidbits for adults who may be anxious. Now, it's important to share a bit so that adults who are anxious may get help also, because you cannot give what you don't have. And if you're anxious yourself, you're not likely to help the child who's anxious. And so we need to understand that the emotions of children really matter. And the fact is that there's a high prevalence of adult emotional disorders. And this is relevant to children in two ways. One, that many of the adult emotional problems you see actually started in childhood. And when adults have emotional problems too, inevitably has a negative effect on our children. And so it's like a vicious cycle. Develop it in childhood, and then adulthood, it affects other children. And so this is why we need to talk about this subject and to address it appropriately. So we have to pay attention to children's anxiety. Adults are dealing with a lot of issues. There are so many things on our plate, and sometimes natural disasters happen. There's issues of terrorism, financial calamities, pandemics like we're in, etc. And we have to deal with these things in a way that they will not leave us and our children with some kind of emotional disorder. And this is important because our brains are neuroplastic. Neuroplastic means that they are sort of amenable to change, and this is an experience dependent change. So whatever changes happen in the environment, the brain is able to adjust and assume a different nature so that we can cope with it. The brain and anxiety. It is important for us to know what actually happens to the brain when we are anxious. And for today's purposes, I'll limit myself to four aspects of the brain: the left and right halves of the brain, and then the front, and then the lower brain at the back of the head. Now, these are very important players when it comes to anxiety. The left part of the brain is known to be logical and likes to use details in appreciating the things that go in the environment. And the right brain is more emotional and intuitive and likes to look at the big picture of the things that happen. The front brain is rational, likes to have memory, concentrate, define, and the lower brain likes, or is instinctive. It's responsible for the fight and flight responses we have when we are faced with unexpected situations. And so these left and right parts of the brain, they communicate very well. And the front and the lower brain also communicate very well. Now they help us, they sort of act as a check on each other. And so you need them to be acting in tandem all the time to be sane. Okay, let me use the word sane. They need to act together. And so where the left brain is being too logical, the right brain comes in and tries to show the big picture so that there'll be some balance, some emotional balance. In the same with the fight and flight of the lower brain, when it's overreacting, the front brain must kick in and bring in the rational point of view to also bring a balance. But during anxiety, the logical left and the right brain and the lower brain take over. And so we keep on looking at the big picture, and then we are pushed into the fight and flight reaction. And these two brains dominate so much that the parts of the brain that are supposed to keep them in check are not able to check them. And what will happen is that when this continues for a long time, there's an overdrive and it leads to rigid responses. So the activity eventually is disconnected from that part of the brain that will check them in, so that it gets to a point where even when there's nothing to be afraid of, there's nothing to make you anxious, they have become rigid in their responses. They still give you the same anxious response. So when we are dealing with anxiety, we are talking about ability to meet different situations with different corresponding responses that are appropriate, okay? And the mechanisms by which you deal with anxiety actually strengthen the left brain and then the frontal brain, so that they can kick in the balance and the checks that they need to put in place to keep these other parts of the brain that have gone um, sort of out of balance, keep them in shape so that we can be able to cope and be successful in life. So it is noteworthy to say that anxiety itself is good and some of it is very normal because it fosters healthy development. For instance, when children know that they have to learn to pass an exam or there's some kind of danger in their way, anxiety helps them to quickly decide and take a very responsible decision. It's important to realize that these triggers like exams and all that, they are short-lived and they're infrequent. And so anxiety helps them to deal with it and they cope well. The problem is when the source of anxiety is actually enduring, and that can result in adult emotional disorders. So it's important for us to prepare to live through this pandemic and come out well, because we have been told by scientists that we will have to live with the virus. So there's a drug or there's some kind of vaccine that can deal with it. And so then we have to make sure that we are dealing with every feeling of helplessness and hopelessness the way we should deal with it. So what are children going through right now? They are not going to school, they are not going to church, they are missing family outings, they're not visiting friends, cousins, even their grandparents. They're also going through a lot of emotions as they observe our responses and listen to our conversations. There's constant exposure to coronavirus news. And then when we have to take them out, we demand them to follow the precautions as well. And they find it cumbersome and troubling, you know, another indirect source of anxiety. One important anxiety source also is the fact that they are scared that they may get the virus or anybody in their home may acquire the virus and bring it to them. And that's a very big fear we need to talk about. Other indirect source of anxiety is also a parental style. And in periods like this, there's increased tendency for children to be abused. In families, couples are likely to disagree and quarrel. And most of the time, it's because we don't take our time to understand each other and we make assumptions. And so I credit this JADA to a psychiatrist, the Ghanaian psychiatrist in the US, Dr. John McCancam. She came up with this JADA during this pandemic and said that, look, this is the panacea to a lot of the quarrels in our homes. JADA, just ask, don't assume. If you don't understand it, and not just even in marital relationships, in all our relationships on social media, wherever. If you are interacting with somebody, don't assume. You have to ask for clarification, and so that we can all live peacefully. Now, in the homes, children may have sibling misunderstandings. They are frustrated with online e-learning because most of them are learning online for the first time, and that's a challenge for them as well. Routines have changed. Some of them are having to eat healthy diet now. They probably will not eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. Now they have to do it to boost their immune system, giving them supplements. Out of fear and panic being portrayed on TV. And so children are all being left out of all that is going on. When to be concerned. In fact, at the beginning of the pandemic and throughout, we see a lot of children coming in with stomach ache. And after investigation, we really don't find anything wrong with them. I believe a lot of this stomach ache, actually due to anxiety. My children will complain of headaches. They'll keep talking about the virus, example, singing, praying about it, etc. And I remember that a day after we recorded our first case, we recorded our first on the 12th of March, and the following day was a Friday, and my son was watching the TV, singing the song of coronavirus, and that made me concerned because actually I've been talking about the virus even before Ghana recorded it. So when it came, we all sat up, and I realized that anxiety was setting in. Children may have trouble with sleep and nightmares. They'll need constant insurance. For example, they keep asking, when are we going to school? When is school reopening? These are all signs of anxiety that we can't overlook. Some children may end up wetting their beds, also panic attacks, and they may worry excessively. Triggered, for instance, by news. Okay, when uh, mortalities are announced and we react at home and all that, they are watching us. It triggers the anxiety as well. So, what are the strategies to deal with anxiety? One, we need to empathize with the children. In our Ghanaian culture, we're not very used to paying attention to children, but there's a time to really decide to pay attention to them. Don't dismiss whatever they have to say. Acknowledge their fears. Encourage them to talk about it. Let them know they're not alone. And in this conversation, try to explain what has become a new normal to us. Now, two, you have to help them to learn to change their thoughts by giving them the opportunity to explore the reality of your faith. In this moment, it's important for everybody to really seek and call on the God they believe in, because when something is happening inside you, you need something outside of you, which is greater and bigger and stronger. It's time to really delve into the issue of faith with them, study the Word of God, teach them to pray more. It helps to deal with anxiety as well. You can teach them relaxation techniques, and yes, the particular prayers they can pray, particular scriptures they can learn, even deep breathing oxygenates the brain in a way that brings some soothing and calmness to the brain response. Listening to music and cultivate the habit of playing music that everybody likes in the home, flood the home with music to keep everybody's mind off the things happening around. The fourth point is that we must speak positively and pay attention to the needs of the children. So this is not the time to abuse the children, not the time to shout on them, not the time to speak negative things about them. As much as possible, try to be positive, and whatever they have to say, we should try to listen to them and see how we can help. Now, as an adult, you have to deal with your own anxieties in a way that you can model, because children learn a lot from what they see, they imitate us. And so you have a lot of work to do. And indeed, our first point of call, whenever we want to help children, is help the parents. Because if the parents are in control, they can do warm, sensitive caregiving, which is we want every parent to be able to give to their child. So we have to also learn to control the exposure to COVID news. If the children don't want to hear about it, don't put them in an environment where they have to hear by all means. Allow them to connect to their teachers and friends through SMS, phone calls, online chat, etc. It's important because man is a social being, and you can't keep them in their rooms, in their homes, to say, this is it. Somehow they need to connect. So please do well as a point to make them connect. And then it's also important to make time to play with the children, to participate in an activity of the child's choice, not yours. It's important. All these things relax both parents and adults. You can encourage them to also express themselves by way of drawing, writing poems. The time that a lot of the talents of our children must be sharpened and ignited. And then finally, let's share positive news about recoveries and encourage positive reframing. For instance, if the child says, oh, a lot of people are dying from coronavirus, positive reframing will say, Oh, yes, people are dying of coronavirus. But thank God, a lot of Ghanaians are not dying. It's not just happening abroad. Or you can say that many more have recovered globally than have died. That's positive reframing. So the last point is that we have to go back to basics and the things that we know to do that are good. We really have to emphasize them more because they will have an impact on the child's mental health. The child must have enough sleep, they must eat healthy diets, we're trying to encourage them to eat their fruits and vegetables, drink plenty water, and encourage them to go for walks, take in nature. And I remember when the pandemic started, a lot of people started sharing timetables that they had made for their children. It's important for them to have a schedule, but let's also try to make it flexible and not very rigid with breaks in between and all that. And then finally, we need to protect them from domestic injuries. Now, we need to understand that intervening early is key. And this is the crust of today's presentation. If there's anything that you're taking away, it is this message that intervening early when you see signs of anxiety is key, is the best thing to ever do. If you don't acknowledge and intervene early, anxiety can grow and become intrusive and results in emotional disorders. However, the intervention must start with caregivers and parents because you can't give what you don't have. It's important that we as sort of adults will work on our coping skills so that we can stay calm and relaxed. And the other children are watching us, but also learn to be calm and relaxed. So this slide is meant for adults, is to help us, give us a few tidbits, like I said originally. And this spherical uh, picture, actually, these are stuff that I picked up on social media, circulated. And these are two that I love very much. The spherical one is talking about who do I want to be during COVID-19? Do I want to be the person in the fear zone, in the learning zone, or in the growth zone? In the fear zone, there's panic buying, the spreading of emotions related to fear and anger, complain frequently, avoid all messages we receive. We easily get provoked, mad easily. If you're doing all this, you're in the fear zone, then you have to move towards the growth zone. Some of us in the learning zone, and we are beginning to give up what we can't control. We we stopped listening to the news and exposing ourselves to the things that will not help us mentally. We've been able to identify emotions and become aware of the situation. I think about how to act. We evaluate information now when we read them on social media. And we appreciate that everybody is trying to do their best. We are in the learning zone if you feel this way. And then those of us in the growth zone, think of others and how to help them, make your talent available to those who need them, to live in the present, to focus on the future, and particularly yourself, appreciating what good is in others, keep a happy emotional state, looking for ways to adapt to the new changes. Then we are in the growth zone. And we encourage everybody to be in the growth zone because if you're in the growth zone, you're coping well, you're mentally healthy. And there are things that you cannot control, things that you can control. The first thing is we have to accept that this is how it is. Definitely you cannot control the actions of others. You cannot predict what will happen. You cannot predict other people's motives and how they are reacting. You don't know when all this will end. These are things that you cannot control. So you have to let go of these and focus on the things that you can control. What can you control? For example, you can control your own positive attitude. You can control the news that you listen to. You can control the activities that you engage yourself in, limit on social media, your kindness and your grace, your own social distancing, your own ways of following the precautions. You can control that. To say, look, I'm going to focus on this. And the thing that I cannot control, I'm just not going to pay attention to it. So, as I end, I want to end with a prayer of St. Francis Assisi about serenity, courage, and wisdom. And he says, God, grant me the serenity to see the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. we have to accept these things because you know that if coronavirus belongs to the same family or virus as HIV, and to date there's no cure to HIV. And some scientists have said that maybe there may never be a cure. We don't know. We have to pray, but we have to cope also by taking one day at a time. So on this note, I'd like to say thank you very much. And I'll share the last slide, which has telephone numbers of people that you can call if you need to talk to somebody, if you need some counseling. Please don't hesitate. Whatever language you want, you're free to call. So thank you very much. And I'd like to hand over to Eleanor.